Okay, chapter 19, Africa before 1800. This will conclude the art history 141. And we're going to look into two main areas of Africa. And I apologize, I have not brought up the PowerPoint. Okay. But the two areas, as you'll see on the map of 19.1, the map, there's many different countries within Africa, um, made up of several, many. A lot of people get confused thinking Africa is a country. It is not. It is a continent, okay? And it's composed of a multitude of different countries, right? The first thing I do want to talk about is look at figure 19.2, feline with human feet. Hmm. Where have we seen this before? At the very beginning of this class. All right, and remember, it's that hybrid between that feline figure, almost a puma-like figure, and that of a human. So a humanoid-like aspect, using that imagination to create these levels of elongation as well as these more kind of imaginary elements. And that also, I think what we discussed is there's a possibility there could have been felines that looked like this during this time, 28,000, almost over 30,000 years ago. And this is how it was depicted. Because remember, this is Paleolithic period, and they were depicting what they saw. That's really what evidence has shown. And this is found in Namibia, all right? So originally found one of the very earliest pieces of artwork in Africa. And it's very possible the felines looked like this during that time, not quite sure. But what we do see and notice is an interest in creating shape. So in Africa is when we're going to first see the development of generating profile shape. And feline with human feet, though you've already been tested on this, you're going to be retested again and see how we're concluding from the beginnings of chapter 1 in Paleolithic all the way to figure 19.2 and kind of anchoring the whole class based off of this one piece in particular. So they're creating this shape, imaginary or true to what they saw in evidence, we're not quite sure, but this shape again creates that profile, right? A profile shape, not frontal, but profile, not lateral, not diagonal, strictly profile. All right, really no dimension to it. But it's the shading technique with the charcoal on the stone that gives it that element of contour shape. So the shading with the charcoal makes the contour profile shape, right? And we're seeing that come out of Africa. And if you look at your map, you can find where Namibia is, and it's in the very far southern area on the western coast, okay, on the Atlantic Ocean. And I mention that because most of the artwork that is found in Africa is going to be found in this southern area in particular, in this southern area. And the other area is going to be Great Zimbabwe, all right? Great Zimbabwe. And I want you to look at figure 19.12. So some of the very first art pieces found, again, are going to be in southern Africa, all right? Like we just saw with the figure, or with the feline with human features. And then now we're moving over to Zimbabwe. Yeah, so Southern Africa is the prominent location for some of the oldest art, if not the oldest art, in the world. Zimbabwe actually means stone houses. So a lot of these homes, if not all of them, were stone, all right? And what's really significant and incredible about these, looking at figure 19.12, is that they're all pieces of stone that have been chiseled down to fit without any mortar or any binder. It's all called dry masonry. DRYMASONRY. Dry masonry, which is an incredible feat to be able to build these walls. And also there were towers that were all built off of these pieces of stone that were chiseled down to fit properly. And you can see how even this wall is on the walls and towers of the great, what's called the Great Enclosure. All right. Also, in this area, before I talk about the Great Enclosure a little bit more, there's a lot of remnants from other parts of the world being found. So it's believed that southern Africa was a huge area, epicenter of trade. They're finding pearls, they're finding porcelaneous ceramics, all all found in southern Africa. And these pearls and such are coming from like Mesopotamia. The porcelaneous ceramic shards are coming from the Far East and Asia. So here in the Great Zimbabwe and southern parts of Africa, Namibia as well, and Benin are also areas where there's great trade happening around the world. Okay, so let me check my camera because I've been having some camera problems. Okay, looking good so far. So with the Great Enclosure, it's again dry masonry. Be able to know that. So it's all stacked together and interlocking without any mortar. There were also, and you can see depicted here in Figure 1912, there were large and small conical stone towers. And it's led to believe that these conical towers were to represent masculine and feminine and having a balance between the two. And that's something that's very prominent throughout African art, is that there is a balance between the masculine and the feminine energy. So the masculine and the feminine individuals within societies and groups were very much not necessarily always equally respected, but there was respect on both sides. And we'll talk about that in Benin here in just a second. Um, so large, small conical stone towers. And again, this is supposed to symbolize the large being the masculine and then the feminine being the smaller. All right. So almost like these conical shapes, these simple geometric shapes are supposed to break down in least common denominator the shape and the importance and stature of male and female. Okay, side by side. Also, they were utilized as granary bins. And what this does is this typically will show like royal power and generosity. So that says that with this architecture in the Great Enclosure, that the royalty of this area in Great Zimbabwe was very great. I think there was over 18,000 people that lived in this Great Enclosure. And the royal king of this and queen of this Great Enclosure would distribute grain at a time of needs and gather grain at a time of surplus. So that, excuse me, that's a sign worldwide of really incredible mercy and generosity coming from a very wealthy and very lucrative royal family, right? So in the Great Enclosure, we had that similar type of great royalty within Great Zimbabwe. All right, which makes sense. I mean, they probably were one of the leading, if not one of the leading traders in the southern hemisphere, and really was a place where everyone landed in their trades and maritime trades and moved things around that whole part of the world. So with that great trade comes great commerce, and with great commerce comes great wealth, and that's exactly what was happening. Okay, now we're going to move from Great Zimbabwe and into Benin, Nigeria. Okay, Benin, Nigeria. We'll just say Nigeria. And what the Nigerians were really known for in the Benin group was sophisticated castings, like in metals, like copper, whittling ivory, fabricating iron, wood, and ceramics. And we're going to look at figure 19.14, the pendant of Queen Mother Idea from Benin, Nigeria, around 1520. All right, so we're getting like closer to that 1800s period of time. So 1520 is around the time of the Renaissance, late Renaissance, early Baroque, or late Renaissance, early Mannerisms in the Western world. Just constantly checking my camera, make sure I get this last one done properly for you. Um, And what's really incredible about this is still to today, here in Benin, Nigeria, it's being used as an art trading hub like it was when it was started. And it was started under the King Oba. And there's an altarpiece at the very beginning of, not this chapter, but the very beginning of the book. Sorry, I don't have it right here, but the altarpiece is to show his majesty, Oba, and the altarpiece is to show his incredible disposition as royalty in Nigeria. And what's present in front of us with figure 19.14 is, oh, and by the way, if you want to go research it, if you don't have the book, go research it online and look up the altar piece of Oba, O-B-A, O-B-A, all right? And images will pop up to give you a point of reference. And then here is his mother, okay? And it was said that this pendant was actually worn around his waist, so wherever he went, which signifies the importance of his mother. And this is really significant because this is the only time that we see an actual representation directly in regards to a female woman in Nigeria in the artwork. The women were very much present in many of the other countries of Africa, but this is where we only see woman really being represented, and it's because she is his mother, and she was really significant in the making and also in the prosperity of the kingdom under Oba and in Nigeria. So her name is Queen Mother Adia, and I talked about the altarpiece to go look back at this. And with this pendant, which is made of ivory and iron, so they learned how to do mixed media, being able to combine the two with the ivory as well as the iron, which they were very sophisticated. You can see how sophisticated this piece really is. It's really quite something. But what Adia did is she helped her son in warfare and getting and because of that, there was a great warrior kingdom in Nigeria and Benin, and she assisted in this making and the composite elements of the great lucrative success of this kingdom. And with that assistance with her son Oba, she received the title Ayoba. So Oba's name is within there, and it's I-Y apostrophe O-B-A, Ayoba, and this means queen warrior. Queen mother, queen mother. So that gives her dual purpose, that she's the queen even though her son's the king, but she's still the mother of the king. So it's a very special position, a very special title in which she was given. And again, this was worn as very small, but 9 inches isn't that small. And this was worn around his waist whenever he would go and interact with any other tribes or any other groups or any other countries. And he would have this around his waist. So great prominence was given to his mother. And then there's another piece of his mother, and that's figure 19.14a, and it's the head of Dia. And again, this is from Nigeria, and this is the Queen Mother head. So let me read a little bit about it. It's a portrait of her to show respect. And how he was showing respect was, well, first of all, like I mentioned before, there weren't any images in Nigeria of women prior to Queen Mother Adia. And so she's very much the first. And as well as her maidservants, there are others that show her maidservants and her direct assistants also portrayed alongside her. So it just shows that her entourage and anyone associated with her had great acclaim as well in regards to womanhood and that connection to her as Queen Mother. Yeah. And then what these images are showing in both of them, figure 19.4a and figure 19.14, is really sensitive naturalism, depicting her in this very, very smooth and clean and non-textured and almost idealized like features, which is something that happened in northern Africa with Egypt. So we actually have talked about African art already this semester, and that was in Egypt. So don't forget that. So now we're discussing the southern part of Africa, and the northern prominent parts of Africa was Egypt. Um, so she has sensitive naturalism, so showing just incredible definition of form and shape within her face. And this was actually a altar piece for her. So there's an altar piece at the beginning of the book for Oba, and then this is an altar piece of she, mother, Idia. So having these altar pieces to show respect and homage to their leadership. And there is also some symbolism within this, and that's with her headpiece in particular. And the headpiece is a combination of showing trade with the Portuguese in particular, and they had really incredible trade with the Portuguese. So the hat and the helmet is really not helmet, but the headdress is really to signify that connection with the Portuguese, as well as what they were really trading, which was like the mudfish in Nigeria, which was very prominent, and also a connection to their sea god, and who they believed was the god of the sea. And so this crown or this helmet is supposed to show the significance of their trade internationally, and especially with the Portuguese. And its position and its placement is supposed to show this dual role of being human and divine at the same time. So they believe that their royalty that they had, Idea as well as Uba, were of a divine source. And the headpiece is supposed to signify that level of divine source. And their duty with trade with the Portuguese, and also their direct relationship with the sea god being so close to the ocean. Yeah, so their main trade was with the Portuguese. And they believe, and I'll end it on this, they believe that the sea god himself actually, let me get the name of the sea god, Olokun. 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 Olokun, god of the sea. They believe that Olokun brought the Portuguese to them for great trade, and which increased this level of abundance, sophistication, and beautiful sensitive naturalism that we see in these two sculptures just within themselves, and magnifying that beauty and sensitive control and naturalism with the material and the spiritual concepts through the Queen Mother of Idea. Okay? So look at figure 19.14a, look at figure 19.14. I also want you to go back and look at figure 19.12 with the Great Zimbabwe, the Great Enclosure. And then I want you to refer back to 19.2 again, feline with human feet. And then also, if you have a chance, type in the altar piece of Oba, O-B-A, on the internet and be able to see what the son of the kingdom of Benin in Nigeria would develop with his brass pieces, the brass altar pieces, and then reflect that and connect that to the mother pieces that we just saw with the pendant as well as the altar piece at the very end of this video. Okay? All right, I'll get this up for you and then we'll get going on that final. Good luck.